What's happening, everyone? Welcome to this episode of Everything 9000. What's happening, Amrit?
I'm all right.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about, the news of the week, really. It's just been everywhere. Elon Musk acquires Twitter in a £44 billion deal. There's still, I think, the I's need to be dotted and the T's need to be crossed.
Yeah, it's still not gone through.
It's not gone through, but it's looking, like that Elon Musk will be,
He's financing it, so I think he's putting in some of his own money, and then the rest of it's borrowed.
He's taken a 25 billion bank loan, but he's acquired 9% of the shares, which means that he is what?
So the controller, basically the person.
He has the controlling interest.
Yeah, he has the controlling interest.
Right, and basically, Twitter's been a publicly traded company since 2013. It's only made profits twice in 2018, 2019. So, fair to say it's not a profitable enterprise. He's coming in now with the intentions of making it a privately owned company. And pretty much he will dictate what's going on. The board will obviously still stay in place. But, what I want to talk about today is, will Elon Musk coming into Twitter, will he make the platform better or worse for users?
So my opinion on this is if I was to give you a short answer, he'll make it worse, for example.
But what's your opinion on Elon Musk, though? Because I think that dictates.
Elon Musk, I think he's what the film Iron Man, right? He likens himself to as Tony Stark, and there is a lot of ego around that. So for him to be able to buy this is a status thing, right? And he's doing it purely because he's buying it purely because look, I can buy it, right? And he's not stable, for one, right? He's not stable. You can't tell me that guy is stable. Have you seen his tweets and stuff that he sends out? The things he says, it's incredible.
I just want to put my opinion on Elon Musk out there. Elon, if you're watching this, you want to reach into your pocket, you want to pull out a few million, and you want to invest into the cloud. Don't let Amrit put you off.
No. Listen, if Elon Musk invests in the cloud,
don't let Amrit's views represent Cloud 9000.
Listen, I can't take on any.
I love what you're doing, but anyway, yeah.
I would leave.
But anyways, yeah. So you're not a fan of him?
No, absolutely no. Right. I think he's one of those billionaires, right? Yeah, who wants to show off as well. He's got the money. And it's the money that, a lot of it he's kind of inherited and built on it as well. So it's not like he's built it from the ground up. He tries to sell that story, but it's not that story. It's the same story that Trump tries to sell. Look, I've built this from the ground up. It's never been the case.
Well, look, his plan is to take Twitter private, and it's motivated by the desire to, reduce content moderation and, infringing on free speech. He's put out a lot of tweets. He's saying, free speech is the bedrock of a democracy. He's really, really, really honing down on that free speech point.
It's absolute bollocks. Okay, he does not believe in free speech. He believes in saying what you want, but if he doesn't like what you're saying, he will block you. He will censor you. He will attack you.
But why? What has he done?
He's done that loads of times, previously. So one of the things that he does is if, for example, if a journalist writes an article, if a journalist says something about him or any of his companies not performing well, he goes out and attacks them. He can't hack it. The whole point of freedom of speech is that if somebody says something, criticizes you, you defend yourself, fair enough, but you don't actually attack them and trying to censor them and he's done that time after time after time.
So
you're telling me if he has control over who can use. Look, first of all, let's talk about Twitter. Okay, what Twitter actually is and why it's so important. Right, he's paying £44 billion for Twitter, and it's a company that, as you said, has only turned profit twice. So this seems disproportionate, but is what Twitter represents, right? Twitter is it's got over 200 million users, daily users. It doesn't sound a lot, but these people, what they use Twitter for is actually to inform other people's views. It's
a very news source for a lot of people.
It's a very news source, but then also a lot of the political debates happen on Twitter. Right, they don't happen on Instagram. They don't happen on Facebook. None of those places, right? Okay, where they have more users, but a lot of the political debates, a lot of what gets said, what gets done, a lot of it drives and comes from Twitter. So Twitter's significance in the 21st century is huge. Okay, because that is an arena where people debate, where people talk about ideas, where people say, okay, look, this is what I want. This is all the politics and stuff.
But he's tweeted recently. He says, I wish that my greatest critics stay on Twitter.
No, it means
because this is a
thing. Shit though. What? How do you? Look,
there's a thing about him, right? Look,
no, look,
he's obviously seen a lot of people like you aren't happy, that he's taken over Twitter. People are saying, "Oh, I can't take criticism," and then he puts out a tweet like that. But do we not need someone that engages with the public?
No. Look, you need to engage. He engages with the public. Fine. Look, if I say one thing to you, but my actions are other things, like how am I to believe what you're saying? It's one thing saying it, but then it's actually another thing actually doing it. For example, there was an article in the Washington Post, right? Okay, yeah, it says that what Musk does is okay, yeah. So there was this is actually directly from the article. It says Musk's tweets have a singular power to unleash mobs against people with much lower profiles. So imagine somebody attacks him, he attacks them, and only that people then go and attack those people too. With a low profile. So he makes life difficult for them. All because they've criticised him.
No, a lot of news reporters. There was Nora O'Donnell. She said as well that Musk he does use the platform to bully critics and bully reporters that have written about him or his company.
Yeah, so he that's what he is. He's a bully, right? He's a big, powerful bully.
The Biden administration, they weren't really supportive of this decision too. They were like, look, we've long talked about this. It was Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary. He said, the president has long talked about the concerns about and the power of social media platforms, including Twitter, to spread misinformation, disinformation. That's exactly what I mean. For these people to be held accountable.
So Twitter, like we were talking about how big Twitter is, all the political conversation happens on Twitter, right? So now, with it being a private company with Elon Musk at the head of it, right? Yeah, like what's to stop him to... He could have an opinion of certain things. He's going to use that to bring that forward, right? He's going to manipulate it, right? It's so easy to do that. For example, you've got people like Trump who were pumping out false information after false information. Not just Trump. Trump's like the most prominent user who's been banned, but there are so many people that...
By the way, I think Trump has come out and said he's not going to return on Twitter anyway.
Yeah, no, forget Trump. He's long gone. He's using this... What's this app that he uses called Truth something? I don't know what it is. Like, he's launched his own little app thing... media where he says it's going to stay on there because apparently there's no misinformation there. But with the point I'm trying to make, whether you're from the left or the right, there's always going to be misinformation.
Well, he put a tweet out there, and I actually sent this to you on WhatsApp. But he said the far left hates everyone, including themselves included, right? And then he said, but I'm no fan of the far right either. Yeah, he's like, let's have less hate and more love. He's talking sense.
He's not. That's not talking. He's just bullshit. He's just saying words. He is, we just talked about, he's a bully himself. He attacks people using Twitter, right? He's got 88 million followers and he uses the power that he has, the power that he wields, and he's got like a bit of a cult following now as well, if you notice, right? Over the last few years and stuff, he's built a bit of a cult following, this image he's created. So people are very loyal to him. So if he attacks somebody, for example, like any executive or anybody that he goes after them, a journalist, all those people pile on.
We're talking about whether it'll be good for Twitter. One thing that he said he wants to do when he comes and takes control is he wants to reduce the amount of bots, and he wants to, authenticate humans. Now, there's two sides to this. A lot of people have said, I don't want to be authenticated. Twitter's like a safe space for me. It's a safe forum. And, if I put my true identity out there, then those of a minority could be marginalized. They can create further issues like that. Firstly, what's your views on something like that?
See, I don't know too much. To be honest, I don't use Twitter too much. I don't tweet, but what I tend to do is sometimes if it's like a big something in the news, what I'll tend to do is I'll go on there to just check these things.
The trending bit is, the trending feature is quite useful.
Yeah, so I use that. But in terms of the bots and so on, it is, they do need to be reduced, like they do need to be cut out, because no matter how much you try, you've got governments like manipulating that thing and setting up IT cells where they literally use these bots to attack any critics.
Well, Musk has said, Twitter is primarily funded by ads.
Yeah.
And he's saying, ads do have a lot of influence and sway on political stances, on representations there. So he will reduce that.
Again, I'm not completely buying it. For him, he's saying like he's going to reduce ads, but that's where the money's going to come from. You're really telling me?
It is, but it's the primary source at the minute, and he's not gonna. He's saying it shouldn't be the primary source.
What else is he got to do?
You can't deny. If nothing else, he's a great businessman. He will take this, underperforming phenomenon and make it profitable. Surely.
But how would you make it profitable? These companies, the way they make money is one, like Facebook and all these companies, they make money through one, adverts, and two, like selling data and so on, right? So what is he going to do? That is like it's still problematic.
Just going quickly back to that human authentication point. This was just something I was thinking about. You know how in football and in sport, we saw it when England were knocked out of the Euros?
Yeah.
Just a few years ago, all those monkey tweets against Sterling, Saka, etc. If users are required to be authenticated online, doesn't that help with online racism, discrimination?
No, so that is a good thing, and I think that's a feature that Twitter should do now, even without Elon Musk, right? They should have done that a long time. And also, what I was trying to say as well, like with bots and so on, a lot of governments use that to attack any critics. Like Saudi Arabia do it. Saudi Arabia have this whole thing where they will like use Twitter and retweets and like copy and paste tweets against certain things. Like, for example, if something comes out about the House of Saud or anything like that, about the Crown Prince, what they'll do is they'll counter it, send hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of tweets, to just kind of bury any sort of criticism within it, right? And that's all from like bots and so on. India does it. India's been doing it for so long. Anything, you literally see these tweets are copy and pasted, right? It will say like, and so many like powerful people use it to kind of bury criticism or to kind of put forward what they want to do, their propaganda. So that is one thing I would say I would agree. If you can get rid of that stuff, then that is what Twitter needs, because there's too much of that on Twitter at the moment.
We saw there was that one high-profile celebrity. Was it Jamila? Someone? She's not going to use Twitter anymore.
Oh yeah, so Jamil, right? I think her name is the radio presenter from BBC. Yeah, she's an actress now though.
Yeah.
Oh, so she said she will quit.
She said she's not going to use Twitter anymore now.
Shall
I find out the reason? Because I briefly read that article,
but I think a lot of people will be put off by Twitter, because don't forget, like, you're giving the reins of something so important where political conversation happens, as I said, to one person.
Yeah.
So that will basically mean it can be bent by one person's will. So if
she said, he got Twitter, I would like this to be my what lies here as my last tweet. Just really any excuse to show pics of Barold. I fear this is free speech bid is going to help this whole platform reach its final form of totally lawless hate, bigotry and misogyny. Best of luck.
I basically second what she says. This whole free speech thing, free speech it's not an absolute right. You have to understand. Now let's talk about, because he keep his main reason for going private, he's saying, Twitter's not, free. It needs to be free speech. Like, there needs to be like, for a democratic country, there needs
apparently
to be free.
She's got a lot of backlash and responses from angry white men.
Oh, and I wonder who they look up to, those angry white men. You know what I mean? So this is what I mean. Like any criticism that comes his way, people are on them. That's exactly what I mean. And you're giving Twitter, that is so important to our democracy, where our democratic conversations happen, to the person who's just a child. He is a child. He can't, he wants to buy this because he wants to show people, look, I've got this much money. He's a child because the tweets he sends out and stuff, right? People say something bad towards him. He doesn't take it on board. He attacks them. It's what children do. He's a bully. He's a bully.
This is a toy for him.
It is a toy for him, but he's a bully.
He tweeted in 2017 something like, what was it? Something along the lines of, he just said playfully, Twitter, should I just buy it then?
Yeah. So exactly what I mean. Like he's a kid. He's a bully in a play school. That's what he is. That's all this guy is. Right? If you say something against him, he doesn't like it, people come and attack you. That's it. That's not. Are you telling me that's democracy?
Why is it? Obviously you're.
Are you telling me that's freedom of speech? Free speech?
On the spectrum, I'd say you're on the left, right? Generally speaking. But why is it? It just seems like a lot of people on the left just don't like Elon Musk. What is it? What has he done?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak for other people, but for me, he's the epitome of any problem you have a billionaire, right? I don't believe, personally, we can do it. This is a whole separate topic we can do and chat about. Like, I personally believe that nobody should be allowed to be a billionaire. I think ethically, it's not right for somebody to be a billionaire, right? You can have money, you can have you can have millions and millions, but the moment I think you become a billionaire, right, that's just too much money. You don't need that money, right? So he not only has billions, but he's just that typical billionaire who doesn't give a shit, and everything for them is just a toy, right? This 44 billion pounds he's spending to buy Twitter, which doesn't even make profit, just so he can control, the conversation, why does he need Twitter for? I don't get it. Why buy Twitter when you've said, okay, it's only turned profit twice in all the years it's been functioning, and then what is the need to pay for 44 million pounds? Because it's a status thing. It's because he can do it. Whereas, you could use that 44 billion pound dollars for something else. to actually help and progress. How is Elon Musk buying Twitter, like, helping democracy, helping solve world hunger and all that stuff? So I don't know. That's I just think he's the typical billionaire who just, who's made his money, fair enough, right? But who just literally will use it for no other reason other than just to please himself.
Once again, Elon, if you are watching this, welcome.
I don't know. I just don't like. I find billionaires. I despise billionaires, right? I just don't find them good people.
Well, watch this space. Let's see how it unfolds.
And to be honest, I probably would come off Twitter as well. Like if it does go through.
I don't think it's that deep for me. Really, was it Zuckerberg? If it's Zuckerberg, if it's Musk, does it really matter?
But you know what, the reason I think Twitter is going to go down the hole, because at the moment, it's moderated. Twitter is moderated in the sense that whether you're from the left, whether you're from the right, if you're giving out too much hate, if you're giving out too much hate speeches, they block you. For example, Trump. There was an Indian actress called Kangana Ranaut. She's like anti-Muslims, anti-everything. She's this very, very, very spiteful person in India. And she would send out tweets calling for genocide of Sikhs or calling for genocides of different communities. She's been banned from Twitter. But you're telling me, how you leave that to one person, and if he likes what they're saying, he's never going to ban him. So that's the risk you run of misinformation. He doesn't give a shit about misinformation.
But you'd hope, the public can see this. If I see, people that I don't like on Twitter.
No, but then he'll say,
just don't follow them.
No, it's not even about following. You don't follow. Okay, look, I never followed Trump, but that didn't mean 100 million other people didn't.
It's just spreading misinformation.
It's spreading misinformation, and those people, yes, there is the freedom of speech. I accept that, but that this is one thing that pisses me off about freedom of speech. I'm for freedom of speech, obviously, but democratically, but people assume freedom of speech to be an absolute right. It's not. With freedom of speech, you have to realize comes a responsibility. Everybody wants the right, but they don't want the responsibility that comes with it. I can't go out and start calling for genocide, but this is my freedom of speech. I'll call for genocide for this community. No, that's not right. Then you can't have that. That's what I mean. Freedom of speech is not an absolute right. It's a qualified right. It has to be within limits.
All right. Well, okay. Let's see how it unfolds. Let's see if Twitter becomes better, if it becomes worse. I'll shout you out on Twitter soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think, and stay tuned for the next episode.